This video is going to show you Solar Flawless goes to the Deep Dungeon during the Interlight update. Just to remind people, the last video that we did where I reminded people to subscribe, there was a massive influx of subscribers every time I ask. So I'm going to keep doing that, but in a shorter way if I can, more concise. So on screen you should see that 52% of you aren't subscribed, but regularly have watch time on my channel. So it's just a reminder, if you're new, because there's a lot of new players starting to watch this channel, reminding those players, make sure you hit subscribe. That'll help out. That's the best, easiest thing that you can do to help me out. Comments are okay, like, shares are okay, but ultimately the most important thing right now is subscribing, because you're watching enough. You're watching enough of the video, everything else, it's just to subscribe. Again, it's not to force anyone into that either. So getting back to the nature of the video. So like I said on the last video, any dungeons that you haven't solo flawless yet before following shape, you want to be doing them now, right? The reason for this is because you're going to be 30% weaker, probably, right, than in final shape. Now, final shape, we're going to get the prismatic class. I'm not going to comment on that, on how strong we are, but listen. All right, this is regarding damage phases when you are solo. When we are solo in dungeons right now, we are 30% stronger than what we should be. We have solo operative, it's a 15% buff, stacked with everything, revitalize and blast. It's a debuff against bosses, which is easily applied when using a solo subclass and has been prevalent this season massively. When we lose these two, all right, it's gonna make it much tougher to solo flawless some of the harder dungeons in the game that require a lot of damage phases, i.e. Ghost of the Deep and Warlock's Ruin. All right, now I already went over the stats. Right, Grave Matter, only 1.9% of you have this emblem, right? Which that equates to about something like 68,000 Guardians, which is on emblem.report if you don't believe me. So it's a rare emblem, and Ghost of the Deep has been out a while now. It hasn't just come out like, a few months. It's been a bit now, and it's still a super rare emblem. And it's like, why is this? Well, it's because Ghost of the Deep is a bit of a time commitment, even solo flawless wise. So that's what this video is going to focus on, to try and help Guardians get their solo flawlesses before final shape. That's the idea of the video. It was the same for the last one we done with Warlock's Ruin, and that one done really well. So this one is the same video as the last one, but just for Ghost of the Deep. So the format's going to change on how I do this as well, because I messed up video. The last video I done was really good, but I made some fatal errors. Wrong dim links, descriptions weren't as good as they should have been at times for builds. I messed that up. So I'm going to change the format for this video up a little bit. Ghost of the Deep is split into 3 encounters: the ritual encounter, the Echtar first boss, and then the final boss, the wizard. The builds are going to consist of those, like me showing you the builds for each encounter. So before that encounter starts, I'll show you the build before each encounter, and we'll do it like that, rather than me just splurging a load of info at you. I can see how this would probably confuse people. So this is how I'm doing it now, going forward for this anyways, at least. So we'll see how that goes. So like I say, this video will be focusing on that. I'll go through each build. Ritual encounter build, which dim link will be in description as well. We ran Daybreak, Healing Rift, Celestial Fire, Healing Grenade, aspects were Icarus Dash, Touch of Flame, fragments were Ember of Solace, Ashes, Torches, and Empyrean. Weapons we ran the Mountaintop, a Solar Glaive, Xenophage with the Karnstein Armlets exotic arms on the Warlock. That's what we ran. In terms of mods, here they are on screen. A big one to mention is Solar Holster. Build not really needed for the first ritual encounter, but this is just showing you what I ran for that section. So with the ritual encounter, I've included a map at the top. All the little green dots on the map basically show you routes and where things spawn. So this is for newer players. I'll be including a map for each encounter. Let me know if this is annoying to you or if you like it, as I don't really do like maps on the gameplay. Maybe it goes against the gameplay, but we'll see. I'll do it anyways. Nothing much to lose because I'm literally in 0 hour waiting room. That's where I am now. I'm in 0 hour waiting room, just waiting, sitting there. So I've not much to lose until next week, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't matter if this annoys you. It doesn't matter. I just won't do it again. If it's helpful to you, then let us know. So the ritual encounter, it's 4 phases. It's always one phase too long. It should have been 3. Essentially, you just need to follow the route that the ogre shows you. The ogre will leave green stuff on the floor, and that establishes a route. The routes are predetermined, but there are 2 different routes depending on which way you go. So if you go my left now, so over there, then there's 2 different routes. This particular route, there's 2 different ones. In middle, down the hill, there's 2 different routes. But on the far side, there's only 1 route. This is why Xenophage is so good for this fight, is because you can one-tap the Solar Wizards. What's the problem with the Ritual? Well, Ritual isn't hard, but if we were to ask what the hardest thing about it is the Wizards. Being able to one-tap them with Xenophage and have Solar Holster on so that you don't reload it, encounter to encounter, is really good. For the Lucent Guardians, you can do what you want. You can Mountain Top them, debuff. A debuff Mountain Top will 2-shot. Or go in with the Glaive, because the Glaive melts them as well. Obviously, get your finisher kill. Remember your symbol, because the symbol that you've seen, so it's ice cream there. So we're going to go middle, melt our wizard, right? Reveal, and then look for ice cream cone. We sped up the footage because not a lot of people need help too much with this. It's more the boss fights, but that's why we sped it up a little bit. So yeah, this loadout's really good. Like I said, with the Karnsteins, you've got restoration and cure at your fingertips. I'm just using it for this encounter because I end up using it for other encounters in the dungeon. So I just figured I would also use it for this. But it doesn't really matter that I did. Ultimately, what you need to think about with the ritual is put stuff on that's easy to you so that you can clear it quick. That is it. Because there's no difficulty there. It's just that you want to get through it because this dungeon's got a lot of traversal. A lot of it. And just being able to clear something quick is beneficial to you because Ghost of the Deep is a bit of a slog, if we're being honest. I still think it is a bit of a slog, despite me being 30% stronger than what I should be, because I've got Solo Operator, I've got Revitalize and Blast, which I can proc very easily via this Warlock build. You know, it's kind of like, you know, that's why I'm saying to people to do this now. I don't think we're going to get Solo Operator in Final Shape. Now, I don't know how strong we're going to be in Final Shape. Obviously, they're going to tune things to 11, but a lot of it looks ad clear based, if I'm being honest. You know, yeah, you can get a turret, right? Okay, you can be Radiant with the turret, right? All right. But damage is numbers. And we haven't seen the artifact mod for Final Shape, so I can't comment too much. But I can't see them giving us an easy time in Final Shape for the artifact. I feel as though they've been too easy on us this season, and that's why, as I say, I'm sort of telling people the hardest Solar Floors dungeons in the game that you haven't done yet, do them now, because don't bank on it being easier in Final Shape, because the chances are it might not go your way. So just be careful with that. That's why I'm suggesting. And if it is easier in Final Shape, then fair play, fair enough. Doesn't matter, because by that time you'll have forgot about this video, right? So that's the guide for the ritual, anyways. What I did. For the first boss, we ran Karnstein Armlets again. Super, Weather Radiance, Healing Rift, Celestial Fire, Healing Grenade, Aspects were Icarus Dash, Touch of Flame, Fragments, Ember of Solace, Ashes, Torches, and Empyrean. Like I said, with the Karnstein Armlets set up. And then we ran, weapon-wise, the Mountaintop, Sunshot, Exotic Hand Cannon, and a Bipod Rocket. Here's the mods on screen that we ran. When we get to DPS, we're going to do some funky things. We are then going to swap to just any energy hand cannon, preferably solar, because you're running a solar build. And then we're going to do this. We're going to swap off Mountaintop to Arbalest. We're then going to do some Arbalest things. Then we will do a Surge switch, right, which contains triple solar weapon surge with Lament, and we've got Scatter Signal as well to supplement DPS. With the Apotheosis Veil build, everything's the same, apart from that we're now using fusion grenades. That is the difference here with that. And that's basically what we're doing. To keep a surge switch, you need to make sure that you've got a healthy finisher mod on or a yellow mod. I recommend healthy finisher because you're not doing a lot of that, and you keep your armor charges. You can then surge switch and then allow you to do more damage during phases. It's a very important mechanic to know. So with Echtar, we need to change our binding. I just briefly mentioned that before. So when we are not Glaven, I run a binding that has my uncharged melee and charged melee different. It's as simple as this. Let's just not overcomplicate it. Charged melee for me is binded to R1. Uncharged melee is binded to right on the D-pad. This means I can differentiate between a Celestial Fire debuff melee and a normal melee. Because I've got Karnstein Armlets on, sometimes I want a melee via my uncharged melee ability. Well, it's not even an ability, is it? So that's why I run. That's what I run when I run this exact binding when I'm on Solar Bonk Titan, when I'm on Assassin's Cowl, Arc Hunter. That's what I do. That is the solution to you on console. If you want to do like melee based stuff, differentiate the uncharged melee and the charged melee for your bindings. Pick something that's comfortable. I've actually gotten really comfortable with the right D-pad for uncharged. So you've got a map on the right hand side. Right, so this is going to be good for players because understanding the routes for the aquatic area. So if we just look at that map, I know it's a little small, but I didn't want to make it too big because then it would like be too much, like it'd be overlaid on the video too much. So the top symbol, right, what I call it is free stripe A. The next symbol that's near the teleporter is 2.A. The symbol down below that is line. The symbol to its right is ice cream. The symbol to the bottom right is tripod. The symbol bottom left is spider spike. The next symbol up from that is spider dot because there's two different spiders. That's my symbols. Oh, and there's burger. And there's also burger as well. Right. That's going to confuse people because people have different call outs. Some people call burger what I would call line, etc. So some people call A table. So I'm not calling it table. Don't you make me call A table. A is A. There's 2.A, free stripe A. That's how I differentiate it. That is it. So those are the symbols. You need to understand and remember where they are downstairs for the best routing. Now we've got obviously all three symbols on that run. I'll commentate more precisely on the next rotation. When you get your free dunks, right, you'll get the free Lucent Wizards up above. Now, you don't have to kill all three like I did just there. Mountaintop makes short work of them if you hit your shots. But you don't have to do it like that. I don't always do it like that. Sometimes you can just kill two, dunk two symbols, and your timer goes away. And you have time to farm up ammo. Because sometimes on this loadout, although it's excellent, the one con to it slightly, I would say slightly, is the ammo farm of it. But I go about things very particular in this. And it's up to you if you want to borrow this strategy. You don't have to. I've done this fight different ways. We've swapped off Sunshot to Arbalest. We've got our bipod rocket. We dunk our final symbol in. We have not search switch yet. We do one rocket, loop round the pillar, Icarus dash on to the circle to immediately take down the shield. We then surge switch, and then we're going to pop a well right at the boss's feet. This is Apotheosis Veil, so we're going to focus Fusion Nade, Fusion Rifle. And we're going to keep doing that until we don't get no more Fusion Nades. Then we're back to Lament. This is our damage rotation. Then we're just going to keep doing Lament. The boss is debuffed, by the way, still, which allows us to maintain more damage. Now, we got unlucky here. Why did we get unlucky? Because the boss ran out of my well. This sometimes happens, but if you get to damage V, to the letter V almost, you're doing decent damage, honestly, at that on this rotation. So there's a lot to unpack with that. So what exactly just happened there, right? Well, I'm using the power of Lament and Arbalest I'm basically using free loadouts to achieve one job. Now, PS4 users, you can't do this. If you're on PS4 last gen Xbox, don't even consider anything what I'm doing with this at all. This only applies to PS5 users, PC users, because you can't pull off the swaps that we did just there. So don't worry about it. But I believe there's not many PS4 players nowadays, anyways. I think most of you have transferred over by now at this point. So mountaintop in this. Mountaintop's really good for dealing with the knights because they're easy to hit, right? You can two-shot them. Almost one-shot whilst radiant. Sunshot is generating heavy ammo for us. That's why it's on. And it's good ad clear with the restoration build. And Karnstein Armlets because it adds to restoration, right? As I've spoke about it in the past, how Karnstein Armlets has progressively gotten buffs after buff after buff to the point now where it's like one of the best neutral-based exotics in the game. It's within the top 3, and that's absolutely serious. What we need to do here is farm up ammo. We've got 15 bipod rockets. So the bipod rocket switch, it revolves around you having so much reserves that when you switch to another weapon, you have enough ammo of that weapon to make a damage phase out of it. And this is exactly what I'm doing because Lament's popular in this, Arbalest is popular in this, so let's try to use them both, and you can do it. It might take you a bit of practice to get the rotation down, but this makes things a little consistent for the boss. See, what you need to understand is when the boss starts to charge you, if you Arbalest him, it stops him. You are actually taking him out of his super. He's a Sentinel, Roman Sentinel super. It's a debuff almost. It debuffs and takes him out of that super right away. It stops him in his tracks, makes him de-aggroed. If you don't do it like that with Arbalest and stuff, then I recommend a Roman super. But we're not using a Roman super. In that case, I would recommend Dawn Chorus with Daybreak, which will take his shield. It won't be instant though. It won't be instant, so you will lose a little bit of damage there because whilst DPS doesn't start when shield is taken down, it starts right away as the knight spawns in. So it's that old thing. It's what you want to do. I've done it loads of times with Dawn Chorus. I fancied a change. That is the only reason why, and also this is really good with Apotheosis Veil and doing this. It's consistent for DPS because a lot of people die on DPS with this boss fight, especially when he's charging at you. One slight mistake can revolve you dying very easily. So it's a good rotation to do once learned because the bipod rocket, the 2 rockets will definitely kill the knight. Yeah. And it's consistent because you're looping round a pillar whilst the boss throws his Captain America shield. So we're going to show you it again here. Look, 1 rocket, loop round pillar, another rocket, Icarus dash onto well, the poison to have peace and light. Use Arbalest, debuff, run to boss, well, and then fusion nades. Then we can chill in our well, use scatter signal, plus well, plus fusions. Once that buff runs out, we then go with Lament. This is our damage rotation. I don't get it perfect every time, but get it pretty decent. There's a bit of RNG if he walks out of you well, and that is another con to the build, but everything else is so really powerful with it that, So we lost a little damage there because one of our Lament combos missed the boss. So that was unfortunate. So our damage should be slightly less below half, really. So this is a solo 4 phase. Once we finish DPS, you want to get to safety, like you just saw me, to switch back to Karnstein Armlets, because obviously we're on Apotheosis Veil. Get a finisher or a melee, and then just go again. It's rinse and repeat from here. So now you've got to melt your 3 knights. Try and find a bit of ammo here and there, because of your bipod rocket. You want 15, which I've got field prep on this rocket. Field prep and bipod. So check your bipod rockets. You should be saving these rolls. Check if you've got that roll because that roll is good for ammo switching between weapon to weapon. And this works well if you want to swap over to either things like Anarchy and Dragon's Breath, because even when you swap to Dragon's Breath after 15 rockets bipod will equal 3 Dragon's Breath shots, I believe. That's a lot of ammo for Dragon's Breath because 1 shot lasts a long time. Yeah, so you can make a damage rotation out of just 3 Dragon Breath shots. or 6 anarchy shots. You can make a damage rotation out of that because of how it works. So the bipod switching is still something in the game right now. It's just not as prevalent as what it was, but you can still make things out of it, like in this video, like what I'm proposing to you. Use an Arbalest to take shield, and then Lament for DPS, with supplementing damage, fusion nades, and Apotheosis Veil. So always, like I say, think of your route down below in the aquatic section, like what symbols you're getting. Like if it's the 2 spider symbols and an ice cream cone, right, that's an easy rotation for me. You know, you've always got to remember that the guy can easy boop you. You're always going to try to sort of double tap on your jump whilst you're in the water. This will speed you up ever so slightly, right, to make it that you're ahead of the sentinel. At any cost, you don't want him to boop you, and if he does boop you, you need to have a bubble to be picked up to reproc pressure resistance, whatever it's called. That is absolutely important that you do that. So knowing the aquatic section, the better you are with it, with the symbols, the easier it is. You know, but just remember, there's 2 different types of A's or tables or whatever you want to call it. Like I say, I call it that because it looks like an A, but there's 2 dots at the top of it, and then the other one also looks like an A, but it's got stripes. So that's how I differentiate the 2. That is it. Note that some of these symbols aren't at the final boss. Not every one of them's transferred over. I can't mind which one isn't, but there's 1 or 2 that aren't in there at the boss fight, at the final boss fight, that is. So we can keep going with our restoration. Looking for ammo bricks at this point. We've got 10. Obviously as well, make sure that you got 3 blocks of armor charge per phase, which you're going to lose some armor charges when you're finishing the wizards or their ghosts. Like in this case, look, I actually killed 2 wizards and farmed up ammo. Right? Or I am trying to farm ammo now. So we're not rushed. There's no timer. Like, well, there is a timer, but if you kill 2 wizards, dunk those 2 symbols, you can stay and wait here and farm up heavy off the infinite adds, because the acolytes are infinite. So that's what you can do, and this applies to everything. But we only need 15. 15 will be fine. So we've now got our bricks. We can finally kill the final wizard, which I'm going to do right now. We're also going to make sure that we swap to Arbalest. That's another thing. Pay attention to armor charges. Sometimes you don't lose the healthy finisher stack of charge. It just depends. We're actually going to do a reserve. We're going to be thing here. You can actually do that. So if you've got a triple void ammo plate or whatever ammo it's related to, you can increase reserves even more. So now I've got 17, which will equate to more lament ammo. So if you want to be even safer for damage and make sure that you got more lament ammo, then do the trick that you just saw there. So next damage phase, same thing again. 1 rocket, loop round. Very consistent. We avoid the boss's attack for the most part. Arbalest debuff, right? Because we had a debuff, and then we'll use fusion nades. Scatter signal. Mountaintop wouldn't be as good for this bit because you would be knocked out of your well. So that's where Mountaintop would lose points on this fight. The only way I see Mountaintop being useful in this, if you've done it with Dragon's Breath, which you saw me do with Dragon's Breath last time, which you could do that. The only problem is I think Scatter Signal's still a little bit better for this fight, whereas I think Mountaintop's better for Warlord's Ruin. But I think Scatter Signal's slightly better than this one for things like this. Just because the damage phase is so short, because my rotation is fusion nade, scatter signal, fusion nade, scatter signal, until that buff runs out, and then lament ammo at the end. So it's sort of a mixture. We're going to speed up the footage here because you've saw everything that you need to know really about it. Just be careful of the boss of suppressing grenades. They can't one-shot on this difficulty, but just be careful of them. Make sure that you melt down your ogres when you're supposed to. Mountaintop makes a great job of this bit. I do recommend Mountaintop for this bit, but just not for DPS probably, unless you're doing some sort of Dragon's Breath Mountaintop rotation, then maybe. But for something like this, no. Because the Apotheosis Veil's just, as I say, you want to be playing right up close. So we just need a little bit more ammo. The boss only has 15 to 20% HP left, so pretty common to easily get round out the Solar 4 phase. But this is a good way of killing the boss. Like I say, it's the power of two worlds. Arbalest for the one-shot technique. It kills your knight quicker, because remember, the quicker your knight's dead, the quicker that you can Arbalest that boss. So it's like a really good transition movement of something that's it's a routine thing. If you stick to that routine, then you shouldn't fail and you shouldn't get killed by the boss just before DPS or something, because those shields can kill you. I've been killed by them in the past. So looping around that pillar for that momentary minute is honestly really helpful. So we're just rinsing and repeating. Like I say, we're gonna again dunk 2 symbols. So look, time has gone, so we're not under any stress anymore. You can do this. You leave 1 wizard up if you're farming for ammo. Alright? And that way you can, do that. We actually killed that wizard too soon, but it doesn't matter because we've got enough ammo to deal with him anyways. Well, we will have when we swap. But we'll round out that. That's literally everything about this fight. The next commentary will be involving the final boss. Okay, so for the final boss, we ran yet again Well of Radiance, Healing Rich, Celestial Fire, Healing Grenade. Aspects were Icarus Dash, Touch of Flame, Fragments, Solace, Ashes, Torches, Empyrean. Pairing that with the Mountaintop, a Solar Glaive with Demolition and Closer Melee on, Sleeper Simulant with the Karnstein Armlets build that I mentioned on the prior boss as well. Here's the mods on screen that we ran. We also then surge swap. We've got Alpha Finish on first build. We then surge swap when we get a DPS, right? And then we've got the triple solar weapon surge, Sleeper Simeon, Apotheosis Veil yet again, with fusion grenades. Same aspect fragment. Aspects and fragments have to match, by the way, build to build, but a grenade can be changed, and your surge switch won't mess up your super. All right. To note, make sure you get elemental time dilation on when you do surge switching. I highly recommend that you do this. It'll help you out in the run. So that's what we ran for the final boss in Ghost of the Deep. Okay, so for the final boss, we're going to switch our bindings back to default. Why? Well, because we're back on Karnstein. All right, so we're back on that. We're going to do triple solar reserves. When we rally, this will give us 16 shots for Sleeper Simulant. This is very important that you do this for damage phases, and we can do this for every round. Equipment locked. Equipment is not on. Equipment locked. So always remember that. Always remember that for like day 1 dungeons, when you're up against a new dungeon and stuff. Do your triple reserve plates so that you can swap to them. So did you see there with Mountaintop? We shoot him as the boss launches the moths, and the moths all explode. That's really good for Mountaintop. So Mountaintop rating in this dungeon, on this fight, it's really good. It's better than what it's better than what it will be on the first boss fight. Because what Mountaintop is doing for us in this, it's melting the Hive Guardians, it's melting key targets, it's doing everything really well in this fight. So I thought it wasn't that good in the fight just before, but this one it's really good. And we're rocking double special, if you notice. So there's another map on the top right to give you your bearings. What you want to do is melt the 3 orange bar knights, the boomer knights that is. Right, so 1 mountaintop, then a melee kill or finisher, or kill him with Karnsteins. Then we're going to go into middle, and then start to do the actual mechanics. So when you do your, when you do the aura, right, to see everything, the deep sight, so that's what it's called, isn't it? There's gonna be 3 sections that glow up. 3 parts of Oryx's body glows up. The heart is always glowing up as a symbol that needs to be completed. It just depends on whether it's going to left leg, right knee, etc, etc, etc. Those are the ones that you need to start with. So it's a chain. You are doing a chain. You need to start with anything other than the heart. Do not start the chain with the heart. It doesn't work. So you look at the chain and you sort of memorize where that was. So, because I've got a bit of time in Ghosts, I sort of automatically, you know, this is a problem to me, but to newer players it will be. So always remember, because once Deep Sight runs out, you can't see which link you need to do. Then once all that's done, and you do the picture, right, so guard with the glaive so that you can get the picture into the little circle, do that obviously the 3 times, then you got 3 symbols. You then need to establish what symbol was middle. Now we're going to go to Sentinel side. So this is Sentinel side. And Mountaintop's so good for the Guardians. Look at that. We free shot a Sentinel from range. This is very useful to us. So we can crush the ghost because the middle symbol for us wasn't that one. So let me just see what the middle symbol is in this particular case. Also as well, once you crush symbol, you get 60 seconds. You need to go to Deep Sight, activate Restoration in the meantime, then dunk symbol. You need to activate, you need to have Deep Sight activated to dunk your symbol. So my formula to this part, when we get to this part, I do Sentinel, Hunter, Wizard, because it's Sentinel Void, Solar Hunter at the top, or the Solar Guardian at the top, and then the Arc Wizard at the bottom, at the other side. Got it? So that is my rotation, and I do it like that every time, despite what the symbols are. But say, for example, the middle symbol outside was the Sentinel, then I prep him. I prep the entire room. So in this case, what we're right here, the middle symbol outside is in actual fact the Lucent Wizard. So that's fine. We just need to remember that, but we're going to go and prep him. We need to dunk a symbol at the minute though. Remember your symbols. If you dunk the wrong symbol, you will wipe. This is a very important thing. So, once you've got a symbol, activate Restoration via your glaive. Get Deep Sight. Think of what the symbol just was. Don't forget it. In this case, it was Spider Spike. So we go that way. Dunk symbol, and then activate another Restoration. A quick stab. You don't need to do full ad clear. It's just to get Restoration so that you're safe from encounter to encounter. That's what it is. And this dungeon's really good for glaives. It's insane how good glaives are in this. It's one of those dungeons where glaives are just king. I still think to this day this is the easiest setup. I think it's easier than Solar Titan. I think it's easier than Hunter. Although Arc Hunter's hard to beat, but I still think it's easier than Arc Hunter because Arc Hunter doesn't have a debuff because it's Arc. Solar classes have a Revitalize and Blast this season. So I even think it's easier than Assassin's Cowl. So what we've done there, we've prepped the Lucent Wizard. We've killed all the ads and we've got him to a 3rd HP. We're then going to come back into middle and we're going to kill all Acolytes. Now, you need to understand the acolytes. Now, they're going to spawn during DPS. You don't want that to happen. You want them to... They are going to spawn. It's inevitable. But we want them to spawn at the back end of DPS. Acolytes are on a 40... It's about 45 to 50 second timer. Respawn timer, that is. But you need to get... You need to level it out, because whilst you're fighting, say you have just dunked a symbol, you don't know when that last acolyte spawn was. So to reset that, kill all the acolytes, that's the reset, then wait for the fresh spawn. This is a fresh spawn of acolytes. We now kill as quickly as we can. You need to, you're now timed, you want to kill the acolytes as quickly as you can with your glaive. Right, this is all part of the strategy. You need to follow this. If you don't follow this, everything that I'm telling you for DPS is worthless. If you don't follow this step, it's very important. Kill all ads, then go to final prep room. The final prep room for us was wizard, because the wizard was the middle symbol. It is important that we use the middle symbol for DPS, because ultimately we can have a fixed location for damage. If you don't choose middle, then your DPS location will be different every time, and I think this is more difficult for most players. So we're not going to kill him too quickly, so I'm actually judging now when that next acolyte spawn is going to happen, which you'll be able to hear the spawn. You'll actually be able to hear... I think they've already spawned now. I can't actually hear the audio whilst I'm doing commentary on it, but you'll actually hear the in-game when that happens. But it's all about rotation, because you've got a 60-second timer going there. So they've just spawned recently. So they've actually sort of recently spawned, so that's good. So we'll do a healing nade. Then we'll just spam the glaive. It's all about glaive. We need to clear out all ads, and we need to get deep sight. We need to establish where deep sight is as well, which it's in bottom mid, because that moves phase to phase, right? Time matters. It really matters on this. So we've killed our finest acolyte. We'll reveal surge swap. Yeah, to the solar surge. We'll activate the vestige of light. Pop a well in the belly of Oryx. Right, we need to go back a little bit. If you do this, by the way, this will allow you to get shots off on the boss without being interrupted by the thrall. So we've used a couple of fusion nades to do damage to the boss. The boss has been debuffed as well. We've got another debuff via our Celestial Fire. But look at the boss's cloak. I mean, I'm telling you, look at this. The visual hardship for me right now. It really is upsetting me whilst I'm doing I am actually upset right now. I can't DPS. I can't work in these circumstances. So I've actually just lost quite a bit of damage because of what the boss was doing. My composure has left. I mentioned this the other day about composure. I've lost all composure because Simmumah, whatever the hell you call her, is just like absolutely going mental with that frock. Or that dress, whatever it is that they've got on. I can't DPS in these conditions. Yeah, I've lost solo free phase now because of this. I'm raging about it. That's it. That's what happens. So I love Ghost of the Deep, but I also hate it. I hate it for reasons like this. There's too many inconsistencies with the boss. Alright, the boss likes to teleport for no reason at all. Sometimes if you're too good, the boss will go aggro and teleport 2 or 3 times. Like if you let off a lot of ignitions on the boss with the build I'm on, you can guarantee a teleporter too. Whereas if you only linear, right, there's less teleports. It's really weird with this boss, and there's no rhyme or reason. It just happens. And that for me is the biggest reason. Not only that, so they're asking you to DPS a boss that's awkward in the sky. There's damn green lights everywhere. There's freaking there's dresses flying about and stuff. You can't see a damn thing. There's thrall that might flinch you on console. Even with anti-flinch mods, we're still honestly up against it. So this build's really good, and it is solo free phaseable. As long as the boss behaves herself or himself, I don't know which gender. Listen, I don't know. If everything works out with the boss for you, it's a very easy solo free phase because you've got 16 sleeper shots. As long as the boss doesn't move around too much and you get most of your crits, like say 80% worth of your shots are crits, then you're golden. you will easily solo free phase. I solo free phased her last night. Easily done it. Today I do it. I don't solo free phase. I'm just shy, just because of a couple of issues with the boss moving about too much. But it still stands to reason. This build's really good on this because there's no need for a barrier weapon like Armlets to take down the shield, because fusion nades will do this for us. So we're back onto the mechanics. Now you can use mountaintop up close like that as long as you got restoration going. It'll two-shot the knights. You need to make sure that you're standing in the circle when you kill them. Alright, this is very important. We're doing a bit of the... this is part of the Witch Queen campaign mechanics, which is really interesting that they've included those mechanics in this. So we've done that phase really quick. That's one thing I'll say about this loadout with Karnstein Armlets, is that you can get to phases relatively quick. Now, if you weren't... I was just thinking to myself, after doing this run, rather than maybe do rather than doing Sleeper, maybe do Xenophage instead, and don't do the Acolyte trick that I've been doing. So the one I mentioned earlier about the 45 seconds and all that sort of stuff, that adds a lot of time to this run. So even though my run's longer than most, the reason for that is because I'm doing the Acolyte trick. But I'd realised on my final phase, I'd done one phase of mechanics in like 4 minutes, because I just brute forced it with the glaive. On these phases you're seeing, I didn't brute force it. I took my time with the acolytes and all that stuff. But I was just thinking, maybe like just ignore the acolytes and just use Xenophage, because then crits wouldn't matter. So I would go for the 4 phase anyways, but it would be 5 minutes per phase. Yeah. So I get it done in 20-25 minutes, as opposed to 30 to 35 minutes, like I did. So it's made me think different. Maybe it's something that you could try if you wanted. So instead of doing it like this, use Xenophage. You get less damage out per phase, but you could ignore the acolytes in your well. Because that's why we're doing the acolyte trick, is to try to ensure that we get our crits. But if the boss still misbehaves, then we're not getting our crits and damage is lost. It's a tough one, but I do recommend Sleeper in this. It is really good, the amount of damage it puts out. Because of Radiant, yeah, it extends because it's a solo weapon, because of crits. So you're going to have a complete uptime on Radiant all the time. Not to mention you got Revitalize and Blast. And per single shot basis, it's almost 200k once you've got your Surges procced and you're in a well with debuff. That is a lot of damage. 200k per headshot. Now, like I say, if you hit all your crits, you're melting this boss seriously. Like I'm nearly up to N damage, which that's where I should have got to. The damage, if it hit correctly and reasonably, should be around about N. This would have definitely allowed me to solo free phase. But the damage phase wasn't too bad on phase 1. I think it's phase 2 where I get like super screwed over. I suppose, as I say, the boss bugging out didn't help me though. And it wouldn't help out anyone either. And that's the thing, is like, I don't know. I know that this is a wizard and it's law-wise to be revive an Oryx or something. And that's the shape of what they are in the game. But they're a bad type of enemy to fight against. Wizards are not good in Destiny 2 as a boss to fight against. They never have been and never will be. Never good, because their crit is always like bad to hit. Apart from Ur-Nokru in Shattered Throne, all the other wizards that we're up against, even the one in Scarlet Keep's rubbish. Rubbish boss. Where else? Strange Terrain was. But the difference is with those bosses is they're weakened to Warcliffe Coil. So they have a weakness. And this is what I've always liked about that. But this boss does not have any weaknesses to anything. Which, it would be so good if this boss was weakened to Warcliffe Coil or that type of damage. As it would balance out the boss a little bit. Because what they're otherwise saying to you, this boss is weakened to precision damage. There's precision multipliers and stuff. I don't know what the multiplier is for this particular boss, but generally wizards have that multiplier. And that's fine, but we can't always hit it. It is a bit of an issue. And with the way Destiny 2's flinch works, this is one reason why I don't snipe a lot in D2. I used to be a massive keen sniper in D1 for sniping and stuff, although there wasn't a lot of options to us then. But like if there's not a divinity on the map, somebody using div or something, I barely snipe nowadays because of things like flinch in the game. I don't know, like I know that there's anti-flinch mods, but in PvE we shouldn't be running this stuff. Like we shouldn't have to run that stuff to sort of make sure that we hit our shots. It's flinch. The game's a much faster pace of game than what it used to be. Sniping, although snipers have gotten better, grenade launchers are just better. A special GL is always more accessible and easier to use than what a sniper is. There's only certain times where, like, I'll say, okay, sniper's more worth it, like the Kinetic Tremors one, Supremacy. Okay, certain encounters, that is worth your while to run rather than a special GL, solo-wise. There's examples of it, like in 0 Hour coming up, when that relaunches, a sniper will be worth using. It's just really good to use. But like I say, because of how fast-paced D2 is nowadays, you're just always better with a linear. Look at this, the amount of teleports. Look at the amount of teleports. That's what I'm on about. Like, even a pulse nade. What is this? I will never crit. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the boss can get super aggroed the more sort of sustained damage you do on them. If it's like area of effect damage, it seems to be that the boss freaks out. So I could have been better off just maybe not even using this build and using maybe something else slightly, just because of the amount of teleports. Look at the damage we did though. And the damage isn't even nowhere near where it should be. And the boss is free phaseable right now. So that just goes to show how good this setup is. But the boss just today hasn't behaved. But I don't want to complain too much about it, because I think I've ranted too much about the boss. So I won't go over that too much. You've saw what's happened. You've seen what's transitioned. We can't take it back. It's fine. So, routines. Back to routines. Take down the 3 Boomerites is the first job that you do, no matter what class you're on. One mountaintop shot and a glaive. Did you notice how good double special is in this though? Double special builds are good with some pseudo primaries, i.e. trace rifles and 4 tracer, stuff like that. Indebted Kindness is good with double special builds. So double special builds are still in the game, depending on if your build can sustain endurance. So Karnstein, Armlets and a glaive is literally doing everything for us. If I had no ammo in any of my weapons, it would not matter. Only at DPS this would matter, because the glaive can kill guardians, it can kill acolytes, it can help us survive. I can put my guard up to stop the moths killing us. It can do so much for us. So that means we're allowed to run double special because the build itself can make it work. Another build that makes double special builds work is Assassin's Cowl, Arc Hunter, or a Solar Titan with the Bonk build. It allows the double special builds to work for you because you've got a build that has nearly 100% uptime. Well, this one does at least. And this isn't ammo. The light swings from a glaive, alright, isn't ammo. We're not using any ammo. This classed as a melee in the game. Alright, so that's where like double special builds work. Say for example, if I was on a Void Walker with a double special build, that has less usage. It's not as good because Void Walker's got the grenades. Yeah, it's got that, right? What are you going to do after that grenade? Well, you might get another one in a few seconds, right? Okay. Then you end up maybe not getting your nade back. Then what? There's no loop. There's no kill loop with that. So the double special build, whilst you could make it work with like Indebted Kindness or something, it's just not as good. You'd be better to use a exotic primary with a build like that. Always give respect to Sentinel, by the way. And we got lucky-ish here a little bit, because he can actually knock you off the map. I've saw people get knocked off the map like that. That was just because I missed a mountaintop shot or two. So another thing about my mountaintop, and I've realised it over the coming days, slick draw. If you get slick draw on your mountaintop, it is far less consistent to use it against targets, especially when you're in the air. There's some weird stack going on, but whenever you're jumping up with mountaintop in the air with slick draw on it, it just doesn't want to hit the target. It's ridiculous. I need to actually refarm up another mountaintop with frenzy on without slick draw on it, because slick draw is terrible. Some people said it was good because you can swap to it and all this sort of stuff. So what? It doesn't matter. Slick draw's given us less. It's something to do with it's got less target acquisition. That's it. It has some weird effect because my other Vorpal roll of mountaintop isn't as bad as this one for like hitting targets when I'm in air. So that was another thing that I noticed. So if you've got a slick draw mountaintop, take it off. Don't use it. We've got Solar Hunter. He's pushed us really aggressive there. That was surprising. If that ever happens, always back up. There's no rush right now. We're just doing our preps. Now the Hunter there, right, he's the last symbol. So he's the skull symbol, like you see on the map. So we're not going to kill that one. But we've prepped the room just about. We've got him weak. And we've killed out all the Acolytes. The reason for the prep is because, like I said about the 45-second timer on the Acolytes, if we didn't prep the room, by the time we come back, the Acolytes would spawn too soon and the rotation will be bad. So if you're going to borrow this strat, which is good, by the way, because it's good for the fact that you can DPS with no ads alive. Well, Acolytes do spawn, but they spawn at the back side of the timer, of the DPS timer, which is 45 seconds also to this boss. So they're going to spawn up like roughly at that 35 second mark. But it takes them a few seconds to get to you because you're in Oryx's heart. You're in his ribcage. Right? And the deeper you are in that ribcage, it actually de-aggroes the ads. If you haven't noticed. I did say about that before. When you put your last symbol in, pop that well a little bit back. Further back into his ribcage. This will stop they will push you initially. The Thrall. But then they'll back up. That's good. That's why middle's good for that. You just got to pray and hope that the boss behaves for you. Let me know on your runs how the boss behaves for you. I think it's linked to area of effect damage. If you really aggro the boss just goes mental. But I also think there's just some RNG with it, with the teleports as well as that, because I've seen loads of footage on this of other creators, and they've also picked up on this teleportation, because every time a teleport happens you lose 5 seconds of damage. That's huge. That's a lot of time lost in DPS. So not only was it not already not really fair, the fact that the boss has 12 million HP, larger than some raid bosses, but not only that, she wants to teleport when she's on a period on top of everything else. So you know, the dungeon's mechanically sound, but I haven't played this back this week. And I obviously recently played Warlord's Ruin. Warlord's Ruin is a superior dungeon to this. It's less annoying to play. The traversal section on Ghost of the Deep, we've actually come to the wrong location here, by the way. So the last location was Hunter, wasn't it? So you need mental fortitude with this. It's an endurance race, and I forgot. I was thinking it was I was thinking it was the Storm Wizard. It wasn't. So did you notice the Acolytes just spawned up fresh there? They have. So we're going to kill them again to reset the timer, then go to where we should have been, to where we should have went. The boss has enough. Like if we hit all our shots, it's definitely within Solar Free Phase territory right now. I estimate the boss to have just below 4 mil HP left. But we have to, as I say, hit everything. We don't end up doing that. But right now we're on track for the solar free phase in actual fact, despite certain shots missed, etc., etc. So we'll mountaintop this guy down. We're just going to go for the finish. We're going to go slightly sooner than what I would like, because the reason why I do that is because I know that with the glaive I can melt adds quick. So your build needs to incorporate a good quick clear of adds as well. Risk Runner is good for this. If you wanted to go a Risk Runner with mountaintop and then a aggressive frame linear, that would work really well in this. Because melting down the acolytes quick enough to get to damage where they're not alive is a bonus, and Risk Runner would allow you to do this because they're all arc. But the glaive strat also works really quick. Like, we're melting them quick. We're melting them quick enough so that at least they're not alive. We'll go for deep sight, do surge switch. We've got free armor charges. We'll do that. We'll pop our well. We'll come back into the ribcage a little bit. The boss is just going mental, right? What's the fusionaire doing? I don't know what the fusionaire done there. So we've now actually officially lost our solar free phase. So the first two phases were sufficient. So if we hadn't missed the two fusion nades and a sleeper shot right there, we would have been fine here. We would have ended the run right here. It's just what it is. We've lost our composure in the end with the boss. We lost our patience with the boss, if I'm being completely honest. But this build's good. As long as the boss behaves for you, you're good. It's just a case of, like, patience. And actually not spamming your sleeper shots. Be careful aiming them, because, like, you got a lot of time to DPS, and it's worth your time just to get that crit to make sure you do. We're close to free phase territory. Like I said, I free phased it last night. It's annoying to me because I know I free phased it last night and I didn't today, and it's fine though, because as I say, when you get your Solar Flawless Emblem, your Solar Flawless Emblem isn't going to say on the back, if you turn it around on the back, it's going to say, you Solar 2-phased the boss and done it on the 6th of May. It isn't going to tell you any of that stuff. It's just going to say, you got the emblem. That's it. So, no matter how you go about this, it's still legit. As long as you didn't do it during the crafting bug. I've read a lot of comments of some people saying that they'd done it during the crafting bug. I would remake you do it. I would make you redo it. If I had my way with you, I would make you redo it and take the emblem off you, because we know that was kind of BS with the crafting thing, and it's not a bannable offence by any means, because they let us use the crafting bug. They let us have fun with it. I sold a couple of GMs with it, so I'm guilty as well. But I made it for a video though. That's a different purpose, as opposed to somebody trying to solo flawless for months and then the bug comes and then they get their emblem. But even still, I only think that's about 300 or 400 people that actually done that. If I was to estimate that, sorry, the audio cut out there for a second. So yeah, I mean, like I said, everyone to their own. I don't believe that many people doing it whilst the crafting bug was up, but some people did. But I do think that this dungeon is only going to get worse with time. For the solo perspective, in a team, it's perfectly balanced. This is a dungeon that's perfectly balanced for a fire team of 3, because it's difficult enough for those players to one phase. It's reasonable enough. It's got the right difficulty for the one phase for a fire team, but it hasn't got the right difficulty for the solo. Like, imagine, like, you can't solo one phases, boss. It's impossible. I believe you can solo 2 phase under certain parameters with a certain setup, but that's miraculous. Most players can't do a solo 2 phase on this. So the tuning of this dungeon, even the fact we've got solo operator right now, we're still struggling to do anywhere near like a 2 phase on most loadouts, unless you've got Briar's Contempt on or something like that, and you're using a very ultra Pacific loadout, then players are just going to struggle overall, because the requirement is just too high, I think. Like I say, I think it's going to get worse in final shape because we won't have solo operator, etc. But we don't know what I don't know what we'll have then. But we'll soon see what the artifact mods end up being. That was the solo flaws for the Goes to Deep. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.